here. Kind of forget what episode we're on, but that's fine. I'm going to introduce you guys, let you guys talk, about yourselves for a second. We'll get rolling. Curtis and David, so we'll kick it over to you guys and let you guys introduce yourself.
My name's Kurt Hamilton. I teach here at Marlington. This is my 33rd year teaching. I got into wrestling. I wrestled in high school West Branch outside of Stark County, but I've been involved in Stark County wrestling since 1993. Got here as an assistant wrestling coach in 93, was an assistant coach for several years, and then I became the head wrestling coach in 1997 and was the head coach for 17 years. And then I stepped down as my son got into high school, but I still continued to help out with the wrestling program until I believe about 2020, and then I kind of moved into more of an administrative role with the wrestling program. Since then, I've served as the assistant commissioner for the Eastern Buckeye Conference, but Stark County wrestling has become a huge part of my life, and we're going to talk a lot about the Stark County Wrestling Scholarship Fund, and for about the past 10 years, David and I have served as the vice presidents and now the presidents of the Stark County Wrestling Scholarship Fund, and we're real excited about where the fund started, where it's gone, and hopefully where we can take it over the next several years and maybe decades.
Yep. My name's David Tolarchyk. Gotta say, I've been around wrestling all my life. I've been around Stark County wrestling from the beginning. Of course, my dad, Walt Tolarchyk, was one of the founders of the Stark County Scholarship. Like I said, my dad was the head wrestling coach at Hoover from the late 60s into the early 90s. So I've been around wrestling all my life. I coached and taught at Carrollton for 9 years. Been teaching and coached part of the time at Northwest. I also spent a number of years at Jackson as a coach. You talk about Stark County here.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I was just going to ask, both of you guys have coached and been around wrestling for a very long time. Was that a hard decision to move into more of the administration side, or did you feel it was kind of like time to move on, or part of you still wants to be a coach and get back out on the mat?
Well, David still coaches with the middle school, right?
Yeah, I'm a middle school coach at Northwest, so I enjoy that part, but I guess I'm also ready to move into the administrative part. I've talked to some people. I'd like to get involved with USA Wrestling. And also, as far as Stark County, it was time for people like myself and Kurt to move into the administrative side and try to keep building the scholarship.
I loved being the head wrestling coach here at Marlington. I think in any program, when you become the head coach, it's the Marlington wrestling program, but at some point it becomes your program when you're there long enough. And, we got to that point where, I had some longtime assistant coaches, and, we felt we had ownership of the program, and we had a lot of success. And, when I felt like it was time to step down, a lot of it had to do with the fact that I did not want to be the head wrestling coach when my son got into high school. There's some passions that I have and passions that he had that I thought could come into conflict. And I was just telling David this past Sunday, my son wrestled his last collegiate wrestling match, and he and I talked a little bit yesterday about how there were times where it was tough being dad and also having the wrestling background, trying to be a dad / kind of coach at times. So I think it was the right thing to do, stepping down when I did. As far as being, in the administrative side at Marlington, I still help Coach Lamakusa, who was my assistant coach, I help him a little bit with, running the Marlington Invitational Dual Tournament. I run a couple middle school tournaments for him. And then I actually got into helping with the Top Gun Wrestling Tournament. I do the PA for the Ohio Athletic Committee, state junior high and grade school state championships. And I help run the West Branch sectional and a couple other events. And that's still, that's a great rewarding way to still being involved. And, let's face it, wrestling, the older you get, it gets tougher to get down on the mat and to teach technique and to wrestle with the kids. This is a way to stay involved and not have to do that necessarily.
Wow. Yeah. There's not too many guys that are, older out there. The only one that I can think of that pops in my head is Ray McDonald. Is probably one of the few ones around here that can still, scrap with the best.
Are few and far between.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know you guys talked a little bit about, your history with Stark County and wrestling, but how did this scholarship fund kind of come about? How did it get going, and how has it been so successful over the years?
I'm going to start, and then I'll turn it over to David, because David's dad is one of the original founders of the program. This sounds cliched, but with David and I now in charge of the Stark County Wrestling Scholarship Fund, I feel like we live in the shadow of giants. These guys, what they were able to do starting back in the late 70s, starting from scratch and doing some fundraising, and then some more fundraising, and then clearly some sound investing, and where it started to where it is now, it's jaw-dropping to me. So we'll talk a little bit more about where it's at now, but I'll let David talk a little about some of the founders and when it started and some of the early years of the Stark County Wrestling Scholarship Fund.
So my dad was one of the founders. I believe there was 5 gentlemen that were just sitting around, and they came up with an idea. They had to find ways to help get kids, boys, girls, in college. So in the beginning, it started out with two $200 scholarships.
That was in 1980, wasn't it?
It was in 1980.
First one's given out.
And now we're giving out almost 10 scholarships in there for $1,500 with an additional $500 over the next 3 years. So it has grown unbelievably. And it's still the idea is helping all kids. We have mat stats that apply, managers that can apply. They have to be involved with Stark County Wrestling for at least 2 years. And the nice thing, the scholarship's not all, it doesn't go to the state champ. It goes to the person with the grades and, because that's the most important thing. So.
Well, that gets you to the next level. That opens up the door, and then obviously your athletic ability, helps you out a little bit. But I know we've talked before a little bit. Getting a scholarship for wrestling is not what it's a little bit harder than getting a football scholarship. A lot of people think that they got a wrestling scholarship to Ohio State, that they're set. That doesn't always mean that.
Well, the full ride in wrestling, I suppose it can exist somewhere, but they're very, very, very rare. But like we said, the kids, I sent an email out the other day to all wrestling coaches in Stark County with the form, the scholarship application. They're to distribute it to every senior. And every senior can apply. Obviously, if you're not going to go to college, or if you're not going to, if they're going to a trade school, if they're, I know of one a student at Marlington who is he's going to go to a trade school, get a CDL, and wants to go into starting a business with a CDL. That's something that we can help with if that's it's any type of post-secondary schooling. Apply for it. I mean, there's no real guarantee you get it, but every senior who is looking for some sort of post-secondary schooling should apply for it. And then we have a committee David and I are not on the committee. The committee is made up of people who are not who don't know the names of Stark County wrestlers. They're not in tune with Stark County wrestling programs, but they're people that we trust as high quality individuals involved in. I guess you would say, education and service-based organizations in the county, and they're going to get the copies of the applications with the names blacked out, and they're going to rank them, and those scholarship winners will be contacted, and they'll be awarded the scholarships. The first year scholarship, which will be $1,000 at the banquet in April, and then they have to reapply for the renewal the next 4 years. So it goes $1,500. 500, 500, 500. So in essence, what we give out is $30,000 a year, worth $3,000 over 3 years, or over 4 years rather. And once again, David mentioned it. This is available to young ladies who do mat stats or do filming for schools. They have to be involved, and I always ask the coaches, make sure that they've done their due diligence and they've been a benefit to your program. Of course, now we have girls wrestling that Stark County is leading the way in, and all of the girls in Stark County who are wrestling, obviously they are more than welcome to apply. We want to to get them scholarships as well. David and I, I shouldn't just say David and I, and David's wife Misty and my wife Gina, they're major parts of this as well. We want to grow the scholarship, and someday, I don't know, when David and I turn this over to somebody else, maybe 20 years from now or 30 years from now, maybe we'll be able to give $40,000 a year away. But like I said, what the gentlemen ahead of us were able to do is just truly jaw-dropping.
So I want you to kind of talk a little about the founders of the fundraiser, and did they just think of it one day, and or was it like a dream that came to them, or how did they get all started, and to get a scholarship fundraiser started, especially in the 70s and 80s, before you can just put it on social media and do that is pretty staggering. So how did that those founders come together and decide this is what we want to do? We want to help out the wrestlers and the wrestling community to get to the next level, and get them in college and kind of support them in any way we can.
I think in all reality, my dad's the one that came up with the idea. He just needed to have people that were smart to try to come up with these ways of how, and then because you had to also sit down and figure out how are we going to raise money every year. And like I said, when it first started, giving out $200 scholarships to where we're at now, we've had a lot of people that donations, just to help out. We've had wrestlers that have made money. They were part of Stark County Wrestling. They went off and made their money, so they like to donate a little bit back to help the younger kids. So yeah,
we had this is probably 10 or 12 years ago. We had one of the earliest recipients, Don shared with David and I, that all Don would tell us, an anonymous, one of the earlier recipients, basically got about a $400, something like that, scholarship, $400, something like that, when in the mid-early 80s. He had done very well for himself. And he made a major donation. And let's just say a major donation that changed what we were able to give away. And that's the type of good people we're talking about. People that benefited from the scholarship and gave back infinitely more than they ever got from it. And isn't that what a program like this is all about?
Yeah, I mean, especially wrestling. I think wrestling is more of a tight-knit community than any other sport. I
Couldn't
think
agree more.
yes.
you're putting a lot more into it. Obviously you put in what you get out, but I think also in our area in Stark County, you have a lot of people that they come back after they, go off and achieve great things. They come back and they want to do the same thing that was done to them when they were in high school. So I think, having foundations like this is only going to get better. And, you're going to see these wrestlers that maybe get to college, or maybe someday you might have an Olympian or two out there. And then they come back and they're like, hey, I want to give back to the program that helped me get through college, because, a little bit can go a long way.
David was a scholarship recipient in 1986.
1986, yeah.
And I mean, I think it's safe to say. I mean, we're honored to be able to take it over for Don Turner. And I know you and I have spoken about Don Turner. I don't know what year Don Turner became the official president of the Stark County Wrestling Scholarship Fund. It was certainly in the 80s sometime, right?
Yes.
Don Turner ran the fund since I would guess the early 80s.
Yeah.
And up until last year, in probably in around 2015 or 16, he kind of asked David and I if we would step in and assist him, in which we did until last November. And when Don, and heck, I think I still called him Mr. Turner at times, until last November he passed away, and then David and I took over. And I think it's. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say we're honored to take over for guys like him.
I think you guys have done a great job. I think you're, keeping it relevant, and you're doing a lot of great things. But, we talk about fundraisers, but what do you do? How do you create these fundraisers throughout the year to kind of help, support this?
So the two fundraisers we do, when it first started, they did a Stark County match at the end of the season.
Like an all-star match.
It was like an all-star match. Well, it only included the people that were either first, second, or third team from all the schools in Stark County. We turned it into a preview. So pretty much everybody on your team gets one match. In the preview, the match is a little shorter, but you're bringing all those people in, all the schools meet.
I believe we're the only county in the state that does an all-county preview. We've held it. I believe now we're at the 5th or 6th year that we've done it. We might have taken a year off for COVID, but we've had it at North Canton High School the Monday after Thanksgiving. It counts as a scrimmage for every team in the county. Every team participates. We can't make anybody participate, but I think that speaks volumes that all 17 schools in Stark County that have wrestling participate. Every single wrestler that's healthy and can compete gets a match. The North Canton Gymnasium is absolutely packed. We do it 2 sessions, a 6 and a 7:30 session. It's an extravaganza of Stark County wrestling. I think everybody agrees it's infinitely better than the old All-Star match.
Yes.
Well, and wasn't it the All-Star match? It was, at the end of the year, people were getting ready for college. People might not be able to make the weight or whatever.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
It was a bit of the kids didn't take it very seriously, but now it's in season, and the coaches make them take it seriously. And I appreciate. I tell the coaches every year, I really appreciate the fact that every single one of you bring your team, you make them wrestle, and it's an event.
Yes.
And I think it's great, not only, for the scholarship, but for the Stark County community, because you have everybody coming there to see the best wrestlers in the county that year, or maybe some up and comers, or, say one guy was a state qualifier and he's going to wrestle this kid who's going to be a state qualifier. And it's just like a nice, like you said, a nice preview to the season, to what may unfold down the line when it comes to right now where we're getting ready for the state tournament. So, yeah, I think that's the perfect thing to have.
The other fundraiser we've done in the past, and Mr. Turner always tended to do it in February, was a reverse raffle. Now, David and Misty and Gina and I, we've kind of decided we're going to do the reverse raffle a different time. February is a tough time for wrestling because everybody's getting geared up for sectionals this coming week. Matter of fact, I think this was the week that we always had the reverse raffle. We're moving it, and we're going to do it the Friday after Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, it's going to be on instead of on a weeknight, and we're doing it at the North Canton Eagles Club. We're hoping that we're going to go out of our way to reach out to every past scholarship winner in the booklet here and see if we can really expand it and make it a big thing, not just to raise money, but to get all of our past scholarship winners, or as many as we can, in attendance.
Now you have a very nice booklet there of some of the past, scholarship award winners. How many do come back to support, whether it's the preview, the raffle, or donate, or just stay in contact with the fundraiser?
Well, I don't. We've never really kept track of that, but I think we're I think we're going to try to make it more. That's, I guess, Dave and I, we see it as kind of our mission to grow this thing, because of what the guys before us have done. If when we turn it over to somebody else 20 years from now, if the fund is where it is now, I think we failed. I think we need to grow it. And so this is one of the ways we're going to try to grow it, by reaching out to those who benefited and say, at the very least, come back and enjoy a night at the reverse raffle, and make your donation just in that way. Just come and have fun with us.
We do have ones that come back to the reverse raffle.
Certainly.
What I always like to see is wrestlers just come back to their own school, just to watch wrestling that maybe they moved away and all of a sudden they're back in town for Christmas. And, I kind of, it's nice seeing people that I saw 30 years ago, all of a sudden they're back at a wrestling match, and it's kind of, it's nice.
Yeah, and you see a guy that was a state qualifier in 1986 or 1992 or 2009, and they're all back in one room together, hanging out, talking about the good old days. And
well, and that's, I tell you what, what you're saying is very, very true. This past winter, it was a kind of a tough time for Stark County Wrestling. We lost Don Turner in November. We lost Dave's dad, who's probably the most legendary coach in Stark County history, Tolarchyk. Marlington's legendary coach, Bob Hinchcliffe, we lost. And, there were text messages between some of us older coaches in the county. Hey, if you heard, you lost Bob Hinchcliffe. They had an amazing celebration of life for David's dad at the North Canton Eagles. I went, and it wasn't North Canton people where your dad coached. It was Stark County people. I never wrestled for North Canton or had anything to do with North Canton. There were guys from all over the county.
And that's just the impact that he made, and not with just coaching, but with the fundraiser and the scholarship, and building something that's it hopefully lasts forever. And we here have no problem helping support you and getting the word out for all these, the fundraiser, the scholarships, the raffle, and helping build this and keep it, sustainable 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now, because I think that's important in the wrestling community. How do people who want to get involved, who want to be a part of it, whether it's the preview, the raffle, or just to donate?
Well, probably the easiest way. I could give you a website or a phone number. The easiest way would be just to get in contact with the head wrestling coach of your local school, and you can make a donation through them. Or if you would like a reverse raffle ticket or more information on that, they can help you. Or if they're busy with something, they can just put you in contact with myself or David, and we will go out of our way to make it as easy as possible. And on that note, we want to thank you guys, because if the folks who might be seeing this don't know, Straggett Media will be helping out all of our Stark County wrestlers. You guys will be taking photos for our banquet for all of our state wrestling qualifiers down at the Schottenstein Center here in a few weeks, and we want to thank you guys up front for that.
Well, it's, going down there to the shot is an experience that I think, if you haven't been, you should go. It's a totally different atmosphere, and it's it makes the hair stand up on your neck when you come out of that tunnel, even though you're not wrestling. So I think everybody should experience that. I look forward to going back down and seeing all the Stark County kids compete, because I feel like when you go down to state and it's Stark County versus Ohio, I think, and they come together more than ever. You might be from Perry or Hoover or Marlington or Alliance, but when you go down there, it's together. Your goal is to make it to the podium and help each other.
Well, we want to thank you guys for what you've done for Stark County wrestling and wrestling in general.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming on and taking the time out. I know it's getting to that busy point here, and we're about ready for sectionals, so I want to thank you for coming on, both of you.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.